Welcome to the Altcoin Hour, your weekly alpha. Yeah, we breaking down the charts, flipping bags, playing smart, from the dips to the moon shots, connecting all the dots. Let's get it. Altcoin Hour.
All right. Welcome to the show. Let me get everything good. I think we're good. Still working out some bugs. I got some new things going on in the tower. Welcome to the show. Hope you guys can actually hear everything. Hopefully everything is doing good. Hope the audio is good. We got a lot to talk about. All right. So I want to get into Bitcoin. Obviously, the Bitcoin situation, we're going to get knee deep into that because that's the talk of the town. We have Kevin Warsh. He had I wouldn't say it was formal, right? It was okay. We had some pretty good questions for the incoming Fed chair. And my thing is, welcome to the show, Trace. Hope you're doing very well. Welcome to the show, guys. We're going to get into a video, okay? This guy, obviously, he's not going to be a sock puppet. He used that term. Not too good. The market didn't like what he had to say. We'll get into a little minute clip of what Mr. Warsh actually had to say. And I'll be honest with you. I kind of liked his responses to the question. I don't think we need a yes man in the Fed chair. I think we need a guy that's going to do the right thing, right, for the market. He's coming into a very turbulent situation. So, it's going to be a hell of a show going forward. Bitcoin, we're going to get into it. Why is it still above 70K? It's pretty obvious what's going on. And I think what is actually happening is negative. And we'll get into that. As far as altcoins, and we'll get into that as well. Again, hand clap to you guys. It is a Tuesday. We're definitely going to get into it. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. I want to get into it really, really cool. Really quickly. I think we need to get into it very quickly. So Bitcoin, let's go ahead and pop it up. I don't want to waste any time here. It's been consolidating where it should be, considering the fact that you have a microsailor, jumping in pretty briskly, pretty huge buy. A lot of the remarks concerning crypto when it comes to Mr. Warsh were pretty bullish, right? He clearly said, and we'll get into that actual answer. The question came from Senator Cynthia Lummis, where she's been absolutely bullish, not only when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but the regulation as well. Now, I'm going to cut the music down just a little bit. I don't think we're going to get the Clarity Act. And I know a lot of people are pushing for that. There's a lot of, bullish sentiment around it, but I don't think we're going to get the Clarity Act this year. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of things that are going into the fold when it comes to proper regulation. And I'll give you my take on this really quick. I don't think we need, a situation to where we get regulation too briskly. We don't need that to be rushed because I think we need a good Clarity Act, good market structure. All that language needs to be good. Now, is it going to be the best language? I don't think so. Even when we get a passage of the Clarity Act, I don't think it's going to be 100% bullish for crypto. I think it's going to be, there's going, I want to be careful when I say this because I think there needs to be equilibrium there. I think there needs to be a good balance. We don't need it to be 100% bullish for crypto to succeed, but we do need regulation. Okay. And I don't think the banks are going to capitulate very, it's unlikely for that. I don't think they're going to do that in a very, very robust way. There's going to be some bending, but I don't think they're going to bend, all the way to the point to where we get 100% yield. Status quo is going to remain as it is today. I think there's going to be some, differences. Our space is going to look a little different post language, but I don't think it's going to be completely negative. It's not going to be 100% negative for the space, but I digress because I don't know what it's going to look like. We haven't really received the new draft. We were supposed to receive that, but I don't think we're going to get that. So we got midterms coming up, but let's go ahead and get back to Bitcoin. $75,000. We did top off at around 76, I believe. Earlier, we did get some remarks from Mr. Kevin Warsh that kind of like hit the market, essentially. I'm talking stock market. hit it pretty tough, right? But we're talking about the crypto market, and there are some correlations here. Bitcoin is running with tech. We're not going to see any diversion from that. And DeFi is absolutely resilient. Now, we do see some rotations going into Bitcoin from the stocks, from gold, because we see metals, they are kind of subsiding. They're normalizing. There's some corrections there in silver and gold. So you're seeing a lot of rotation into Bitcoin. Now, along with that rotation, you also are seeing a really, really good rush into ETFs right now. You're seeing Michael Saylor and BlackRock. They're buying, proverbial dips. We did get down to $73,000. That was on April the 19th. So what you're seeing here, I'm gonna go. I got to be very careful because I don't want to seem like I don't want you guys to get trapped, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be very careful with my language today because I don't want to, seem like a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be like all doom and gloom, but you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful with what you're doing with your money right now. How you're investing. And a lot of people are already invested heavily and they're just trying to figure out what to do. Obviously, don't take a loss, right? This market is going to come back, but this Bitcoin barometer is twofold. Yeah, it's $75,000, but there's a reason for that. The 4-year cycle is, I wouldn't say it's dead. It's on life support, but it's broken. It's been modified. Okay. So you have to understand you can't rely on that. You can't really rely on Bitcoin for your investment, a barometer at this point in time because it's so fluctuative and there's issues here. That have been implanted to modify that 4-year cycle. We aren't seeing normal activity when it comes to these 4-year cycles. It is not. It has been modified. So it's interesting. You have some U.S. government actually, they're going to be seizing some actual Bitcoin. I saw that report earlier. So, we may talk about that because it's very interesting. But again, language, that's going to go into fold going into the last 4 quarters. And then the Iran situation. Let's go ahead and get that out of there. The Iran situation is about to explode again. So if we get an all-out blitzkrieg of war activity in the Middle East, next quarter and going into December could be very dreadful. And I think that is not being baked into the cake. These ETF inflows, this institutional inflow, it's only going to last for so long. We get an all-out war, Middle East just completely collapses, and we don't even know what that's going to look like. Currently, Bitcoin is sitting at $75,000, but it's merely because of ETF inflow, institutional inflow, which we didn't have a decade ago. We didn't have this, So if we didn't have this, I think we'll be sitting below $60,000. So, hand clap for the institutional inflow. Hand clap for, the ETF vehicle, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be seeing this at all. So I want to pan out and look at these altcoins because, obviously Ethereum is above $2,000. Ethereum is going to do what Ethereum is going to do. It's not going to go anywhere, but the 7-day outlook is up. But, if you look at it the last 4 weeks, Ethereum has been struggling along with all of the other odds. XRP, I don't even want to get into that, but just in short, the actual long-termers are very worried about what's going on with XRP. I'm not too worried about that because if Bitcoin actually hits the wall, I think you're going to see a rotation. Not very large, but you're going to see a slight rotation into XRP, especially if Bitcoin goes below 60K. I think you're going to see a rotation, not only in other, commodities, but I think XRP is going to shock you. It's going to surprise a lot of people if Bitcoin gets below 60K. And we could very well see that if the Iran situation goes absolutely crazy. We can definitely see that. Now, and yeah, I'm going to get to some comments. Tim, you're saying some good stuff. Jay, I see what you're saying. BNB $600. I'm very shocked to see BNB at $600. I'm not going to lie to you. BNB has been very resilient along with DeFi in its whole, that DeFi TVL has been very resilient. We understand why. You're going to see a lot of restaking too if Bitcoin gets up to 80K. I'm going to give you my actual resistance and my floors for that Bitcoin here in a little bit. But I'm very shocked with what BNB is doing right now. Solana $85 is trying to maintain that above $80. Solana is an enigma at this point in time. I think once these stocks start rolling, tokenized stocks going into next year, I'm completely bypassing 2026. And I'll tell you why. because of the Iran situation. It was not baked into the cake. So we don't know what the hell is going to happen there. We don't know how that's going to affect the market going into the next 2 quarters. So we'll see. But as far as Solana, it's an enigma to me. I don't know where this is going, but it is above $75. So there's some resilience there, and we'll see how far that takes, because currently across the board it is down. I'm going to skip right over TRX because we don't have access to the protocol. 33 cents. I will tell you that it's doing pretty good, but it's, this is propped up by Justin Sun. Let's go ahead and get it out there. Plus there's a big gaming community, big gaming presence within that particular ecosystem as well. And you have staking with that algorithm stablecoin. A lot of people are taking advantage of that. We can't, unfortunately, take advantage of that staking of that those algorithm stablecoins. You have USDC in there as well, but the actual placement of that stablecoin, the algorithmic stablecoin within the TRX ecosystem, the Sun protocol, there's some robust compounding going on there. So I totally get it. And then you have Justin Sun. He holds this at the current price. 3% up is pretty impressive. Across the board, TRX is up, but I'll move from that because I don't know too many people that can take advantage of the ecosystem in the States. We're kind of barred from it unless you're doing some funny stuff. So, I don't recommend that, but I digress. Hyperliquid, $39. This thing is down across the board. This is a major perp exchange that made a lot of money last year, having some issues. I don't understand what's going on there. I need to do a deep dive there, but across the board down, even in 24-hour period, very, very robust trajectory downward with Hyperliquid. Pretty interesting. Across the board, almost 10% down on the week with Hyperliquid. Very interesting movements with that particular coin there, that perp exchange, which is pretty decent. Will Aster catch up? We'll see. We'll just have to see about that. Cardano 88, 24 cents, kind of up just a bit, but these alts are having a hard time holding on to Bitcoin's coattail. It is what it is. They're having a lot of hard times here. We're talking altcoin activity, not moving like we would like it. Very bearish. We can go all the way back to 2024. These altcoins are in bear market activity. DeFi, although resilient since 2024, bearish. We're talking bear market activity. So when you're looking at Bitcoin and you compare it to the altcoin field, there's a massive separation here. Altcoins bear since the freaking 2024 year. Bitcoin, if it wasn't for ETFs, if it wasn't for Michael Saylor's buyership, BlackRock, institutional involvement, right? And I will have to add in Donald Trump's influence as well, right? Crypto president, not going so well across the waters, but his influence is still pretty decently strong when it comes to Bitcoin. This is why you see it at 75K, but there's a separation here when it comes to the alts. Normally when Bitcoin pumps, altcoins, fall lock in step. It's not happening. And there's great fragmentation when it comes to these price points. There is no liquid flow is what I'm trying to tell you guys. So this is very interesting what I'm seeing here. The dynamics are very interesting. You can't actually compare it to past trends. So if you're using past trends here, you're using past activity, you're going to lose money because nothing is adding up here. There's a separation between Bitcoin and these alts, and you have fragmentation when it comes to these altcoin prices as well. So this is very interesting. And I want to add also, the Iran situation was not baked into the cake. And if somebody's telling you that, they're lying. No one knew that Trump was going to do this. We know we had issues, but when it comes to this 100% involvement, and we may have a resurgence of activity, no one baked this into the cake. So, and honestly, I want to say this as well. We haven't seen full-scale war. We've seen conflict. We've seen, bombings and strategic activity, but not full-scale. If we get that, I don't think the market's ready for that. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You understand, if you've seen me before, you understand how I talk about the market activity. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm giving it to you realistically. Doesn't look good, guys. So Cardano, again, we'll go with Monero XMR, $377. It's up across the board. This is a privacy protocol, OG. People are using this profusely, and it's doing pretty damn good. I think it's going to get up to $400 by the weekend, but most of you aren't holding XMR. But for those of you who are, it's looking pretty good, especially post language, because protocols like this are going to be safe. They're actually are going to be okay. And I was worried about a lot of these privacy protocols, these mixers. They're deemed legal under the current, especially the Fed, the current, I think it's Paul Atkins. He's okay with privacy protocols. He's okay with the mixers across the board. So these protocols are going to do very well post language, which is great for DeFiers. Absolutely fantastic. So I don't know, what does Monero go, post language? There's no roadblocks here. So who knows? $1,000, 700, who knows? As far as Zcash, that is an enigma as well, because that dev team actually collapsed. So Chainlink almost back to $10 up across the board. Again, here's the actual fragmentation. You have Hyperliquid down a lot, but then you have Chainlink trying to move back up to $10. Every altcoin is doing its own thing. It's very interesting. Meme Core, $4, doing very, very well. That's a meme coin, base blockchain here that is moving up into the top 20. Very interesting, up almost 50% within the 7-day period. I don't know if you guys are into this meme core coin, but the market cap is around $5.4 million. This thing is like really pumping really freaking hard right now. Okay. So this is interesting. What's going on with meme core? You have a Litecoin trying to get up above $55 as well. AVAX is trying to get back to $10. World Liberty Finance wouldn't advise even, I'm sorry, that's the USD one. The World Liberty Finance, speaking of World Liberty Finance coin, yikes, that may not exist post language because what Senator, code name Pocahontas, okay, when it comes to Senator Warren, if she gets her way and if midterms do not go the way of the Republicans, we may see an absolute exit of all activity when it comes to Donald Trump's involvement and his family's involvement in cryptocurrency. All of this may be put in reverse mode. We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but it's not looking good for World Liberty Finance and pretty much any type of endeavor when it comes to not only Donald Trump's movement into crypto with his platform and his products, but his actual family's name in crypto, essentially, especially with the meme coins, doesn't look good. So we'll see how that goes. If going into the latter part of the season, barring any war activity, which is crazy. AVAX, almost $10. I love AVAX. I still love AVAX. I'm doing very, very well there, and I will continue to actually DCA. That's just me because I understand what AVAX is positioned to do post language. And you might already do your research on that too as well. I'm not going to push anybody towards that, but you might want to check out what's going on with AVAX ASAP. All right, so you can get on board. HBAR, 4% up. You've seen a very, very decent spike in HBAR just recently, almost 5% up within the 7-day period, which is decent when you talk about a week. You're zooming out. That's pretty decent right there for HBAR. So hopefully there's some good things going up. 3.8, almost $4 million market cap for that situation. Sue Chain is trying to get back up to $1. Going through some issues, but I think Sui is going to be okay. We're going to wrap it up with Tonecoin, which is trying to get back to $2. I think that particular situation is going to be okay. I really do. Post language, along with a lot of these other, platform coins like Crow, because a lot of people are like, Crow is going back to 1 cent. I don't think that's going back to 1 cent because that particular situation has been heavily endorsed by the Trump bros. I'll just say it like that. So if Donald gets his way, Crow's gonna be okay. So just if you're worried about Crow, I wouldn't worry about Crow. Don't sleep on these commodities, guys, like Tether Gold, Paxos Gold. There's a lot of platforms. All right. And one of them is Coin Depot that allows you to use these particular coins, these commodities, tokenized commodities, and get yield off of it. This is pretty crazy what I'm seeing there. We're going to be talking about that too as well. So I want to get into some comments. Tim, what do you got here, Tim? And Jay, I see you guys. Welcome to the show, Mom. Hope you're doing good. LMFG, I see you, brother. That link is up top if you want to jump in, bro. Let's see here. You're talking about some good stuff here. So Tim, you agree with the Clarity Act situation? Not very beneficial. It's not. I think it's going to be a good balance, Tim, but I don't think it's going to be crazy advantageous for us going forward. Big up for Marbus token is live. Yeah, big up to 2Bit for that. He's finally got that token out. 2Bit's a good guy, man. Hand clap for that as well. I know you guys are into that situation as well. And I want to give a hand clap to that because 2Bit has been working hard on that platform, man, trying to get that up. He's got it up. He's got the token live, and it's a very tumultuous market too for activity like that. So if it is live, I wish them well. Hand clap to Marbits. Big time. See here, it says Jay is waiting to launch for the token. Oh, okay, so he's waiting. I saw that too late. So Tim, it's not launched fully yet. Okay, so I think too big to get that going. Marbits is a fantastic platform here. The problem with those huge buys of BTC and ETH is they are all OTC and don't really affect the chart. You're right, bro. A lot of OTC action going on. Lots of OTC action. You're so right about that. So, absolutely. Tim says there's no. Okay, so the Marbits token didn't launch. Let's go ahead and get that correction out there. But it will. So maybe not a good time to launch that. We'll see. Meme Core, and this is Jay's take. I'm sorry, Tim. This is your take on Meme Core. I've been checking it out, bro. Meme Core is doing some crazy stuff, but you're saying Meme Core has low liquidity and the team holds a large percentage of the token. So, okay, so the team may be actually manufacturing the movement is what you're saying. That's what you're saying, right, Tim? This is basically what you're saying. Let me know if it's, because I totally understand. If they do have a large token, that's what you see with TRX. This is what you're seeing with TRX when it comes to Justin Sun holding a large amount of that coin. Pretty much he can dictate where that goes, right? Not, largely, but, minutely, he can move that thing. And you can see it's at 33 cents. All right, so that's good advice, bro. Be careful with Meme Core. Good advice on that. Again, welcome, Mom. So if Aster, this is Tim again, if Aster and Hype interests you, check out Edge X. Okay, so this is another perp thing. Okay. It's very similar to what has been supremely bullish. So Edge X, is that another perp exchange, Tim? Just want to clarify that. Because they do very well. I know. Excuse me. The interesting thing about Hyperliquid that, they interest those oil futures, which is going bonkers. I don't know if that was a negative for them, but they made a lot of money. They outgrossed Pump.Fun back then, just about. So, okay. So yes, it just been, okay. All right, bro. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get back into this. I want to jump into this because the buyership when it comes to it, I want to talk about this because we did see this major, influence in the price. And I'm going to read this real quick. Why Strategy's multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin purchase today are no longer bullish catalysts for the market. I'm going to go ahead and push in BlackRock into this as well. Push in the institutions because this is what we see a lot of in today's crypto, in today's Bitcoin buyership. It's not a lot of retail. It's been institutional buying after institutional buying, more Michael Saylor involvement, more BlackRock, these fund, involvements. Lots of rich people and rich firms buying Bitcoin. Not a lot of retail. And we need more retail. We just don't have that because retail is busy saving money right now. Retail is very busy rotating out of strenuous activity. And we just don't know what's going to go on with Iran. But this was very bullish earlier this year. Every time Michael bought, everybody got so happy about it. So they bought, right? Every time BlackRock bought, you had influencers on X always posting the shit. Oh, BlackRock bought this. BlackRock, by the way, BlackRock is buying for their actual users. They're not buying for themselves. Now, the CEO has his own personal bag. I'm pretty sure the staff has their own personal bag. But that is a vehicle. That is an actual ETF vehicle. BlackRock is buying for the customers, for the users, not for themselves. But I digress from that. This was super bullish, guys. Not anymore. And this is the sentiment. It's actually bearish when Strategies continues to buy. Because that's just more Bitcoin that they're going to have to sell if this shit goes the wrong way. Okay. And we're not even talking about the quantum threat. Let's just move that out. Let's talk about the institutional threat, the large ETF vehicle threat when it comes to Bitcoin, because this buyership is getting a little crazy. It's getting a little crazy out there. It's getting a little weird. A lot of buyership, and it's not bullish anymore. Now, I want to read a little bit of this because this is a very interesting report on Michael Saylor's continued buyership. And not only that, but the BlackRock situation. All these large buyers, that are not retail based buying, which is what we need. That's more organic, because when these guys start pulling out, when these funds, redemptions hit, it's not going to be very good for Bitcoin. And we're not even talking about the countries and these strategic reserves that have already been set up as well. All right. We're just talking about these guys that are always on X. By the way, I hadn't seen Strategies tweet about this, but I'm pretty sure this is legit because I looked at the transactional arc. And so the sub headline here is Strategies monster Bitcoin buys often trigger sales of the news and drops the price. Obviously it does. Now, this is what's happening now. And Bitwise actually pinpointed this in the exact timing of this going forward if war breaks out. Now, Strategies and Michael Saylor, lead company former, and this is going to be formerly known as MicroStrategies, known as Strategies as at this point in time, has completely surpassed BlackRock's flagship spot Bitcoin ETF. We're talking exchange trade funds to become the largest, and I'm talking not even just the US market, but the world's largest holder of Bitcoin. He has actually achieved that. Now, do we want to, hand clap that? I don't know. Now, we've been told that the actual sell point for Strategies, if the shit hits the fan, is 8K. I don't believe that shit. That's going to be the trigger. If I'm Strategies, I'm not waiting until 8K. That is super losership for that particular situation. You're talking about having shareholders that are going to be coming for your head. Holy crap. So 8K, I don't think that's going to be the sell point, but they are officially the largest holder, the world's largest holder, institutional holder of Bitcoin by far after this recent buy. They have passed BlackRock. That is saying a lot, guys. Now, according to the April 20th regulatory filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, Strategies acquired an additional 34,000 Bitcoin, well over that. And this is it was just the past week at an average price of around $74,000. So they're buying at the top, guys. They continue to buy at the top. Now, this is something that you just don't do. Every investor that I've ever, especially the literature that I've read in the past, tells you to do not do that. You don't buy at the top, but apparently this doesn't apply to institutions. This does not apply to ETF fund managers. This is for forgotten knowledge. Let's continue with this. The purchase cost about around $2.5 billion, man. And it ranks as the third highest single acquisition in the company's history by coin count. And they bought at the top. I have to keep repeating that. If this thing goes to 60K, they're in deep shit. You don't have to get to 8K. Just 60K. You're losing $5,000 off the top of this right now. That's not good if you're buying Bitcoin at $74,000. I just don't get it. Maybe they know something that we don't know. Let's continue with this. The latest transaction file was around 850,000 BTC, or about 3.8% of the actual token supply. Right? The company has spent about $61 billion building this particular position, guys. Just in case you didn't know. Given an average cost bias of around $75,000 per coin, with Bitcoin trading at around $75,000, the firm's holdings are worth roughly $61.2 billion, leaving a portfolio with an unrealized loss of around $228 million at this point in time. So, meanwhile, the scale of the latest purchase is notable even on a standalone basis. The 34,000 Bitcoin acquired last week, this week alone, would rank a company as the company's fifth largest corporate holder in the world. So it's number 5 around the corporate holdership. Institutionally, number 1. They got a lot of Bitcoin. Now, that haul was enough to push Strategies past the actual BlackRock holdership, IBIT, the world's largest Bitcoin fund. So these people actually hold more than the largest Bitcoin fund, which is going to be BlackRock. So here's the thing. Obviously, this train is not going to stop. Bitcoin is sitting at $75,000. They are buying at the complete top. Large bag here that can affect the price going forward. I don't see how this is bullish at all, especially if you see the trajectory of the market. You see the trajectory of geopolitics right now. You see what's going on overseas, right? About to pop again. And this time it's going to be full-fledged war. Going to hit the markets pretty hard. How does this work out if we go below 60K? I don't think it's going to work out very, very well as we move back to Bitcoin. Now, I want to share some things with you, obviously. I'm going to give you my metrics here because when we're looking at the actual cycle, let's talk about it because and we're talking 2024, all right? That was our halving year, okay? Historically, around 12 to 18 months after, this is when you usually see the bear leg until the next halving year, which is this year. We usually see some decent consolidation after these particular, events, all right? Now, as far as the consensus here, a lot of people are saying this cycle is dead, guys. Or was it modified? What's your take? Do you think it's dead? Do you think the 4-year cycle is dead? I believe so. All right. But there is a modified value of it as well. And we're talking ETFs and corporate adoption. Now, how does that globally affect altcoins? Well, as you can see, there's some fragmentation because of what's going on, not only with crypto legislation, because there's that other leg that's affecting the cycle. We don't know what the hell that's going to look like. We don't even know if we're going to get it. Okay. So when you talk about 2 years post 2024, we didn't get those gains like we thought. We got a really, and I got to tell you, when those ETFs were launched, the Bitcoin ETF, we got a pretty good pump, but look what happened afterwards. A lot of things that we're consistently used to seeing post, halving, it's pretty crazy right now. It doesn't add up. The metrics don't add up. You can't go to the trends, data and link anything up here because of the ETF and the corporate adoption that has occurred. It has completely modified the cycle. And then if you factor in the crypto president influence, that's not looking very well right now. Donald Trump's influence on legislation when it comes to crypto regulation, it's not heavy at all. We thought it was going to be a whole lot heavier. We thought he was going to be able to actually move the needle, and it's not going the right way. So when it comes to it, I think it's basically disrupted the 4-year cycle. Now, with that being said, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think it's dead. I think it's been modified, and coming out of 2026, who knows what's going to actually happen. Now, as far as price levels to watch, I gotta keep the support at around 67 because of what I'm actually looking at when it comes to this involvement, when it comes to this heavy buyership. Although bearish, Michael Saylor's back in the, he's filling the bucket. BlackRock filling the bucket. A lot of the ETF, vehicles are filling the bucket. And LMFG says, what happens next? BTC halving 2028. Block rewards cut 1 point. Exactly. It just gets even more trimmer. The miners get squeezed even more. Absolutely. But we may be seeing a huge fork incoming for Bitcoin. A hard fork, which is going to change the entire dynamic of the space. Okay. We may get into that. I don't know, because no one's talking about that. There's a Bitcoin improvement proposal that just went through that is kind of cloaked, that no one's talking about but Charles Hoskinson. He's the only one that's screaming about this hard fork that's coming up, that's being endorsed by BlackRock and all the institutions. But I digress from that. I don't want to scare your pants off. But you need to start listening to the right people, because if they're not telling you about this hard fork that's coming up, they're leading you the wrong way, because that's going to change the game. So it's heavily being influenced by the quantum thread as well. But I digress. When it comes to support zones, when it comes to this year, guys, 67,000 is going to be my low support, because this institutional inflow is phenomenal, but it's very bearish because it can go the wrong way going into the next 2 quarters. 70K is going to be roughly the high point of the support that I'll give you today, with a resistance level at around 80K. I think that's a decent bandwidth right there from what I'm sitting right now. And this is pre-war activity, because I think that's about to break out. Now, we get all out war in the Middle East. Obviously, that's going to affect not only the crypto space, but the stock markets as well. Commodities are going to crash. Gold is going to go bonkers, but you can have oil prices are going to go bonkers as well up to the $250 range, which is going to greatly affect buyership. People are going to start cashing out their portfolios, 401ks. Mortgage rates are going to go up to 14%. It's going to get ugly. So let's not hope that. Let's just pray that doesn't happen. Because no one's going to care about the crypto market at that point in time. No one's going to care about stocks at that point in time. They're going to be in survival mode. So, and I will say there's going to be some great buying opportunities for the actual, stone cold investors. Because there's going to be a lot of blood. But when it comes to resistance, 80K, guys. All right. Now, if we get some positive movement in regulation, and it's a nice balance to where everybody gets what they want, the banks get what they want, and you have a situation to where we get what we want, and Donald Trump signs that beautiful bill, I think you're looking at a 90 to 100K resistance level with a support level that's probably going to be around 80K. So again, the Iran situation was not baked into the cake. But let's just go ahead and call it like it is. We don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to go with the bullish, perspective. Let's go ahead and do that. I don't like doing that, but I just honestly, I don't think Donald Trump is that dumb to pull the trigger on nukes and things like that. I don't think he's that dumb. He's just playing his cards, but I don't think he's that dumb to pull the trigger on this stuff because that could be drastic. So let's just keep it bullish for now. I think we can break above 85K as well, barring great news within the next 2 months. Okay, so we'll just call it like that. Now, I want to talk again. We're talking Bitcoin and how this is going to pull up these odds because there's fragmentation there below Bitcoin and Ethereum. Institutional and on-chain inflow. Now, the ETF inflow is phenomenal. No one's disputing that. Okay, and it remains dominant, which is very, very good. This experiment is going very well when it comes to the ETFs with Bitcoin and Ethereum. ETFs not so bad either. I think that's why Ethereum is still above $1,000. Okay. Now, when it comes to weekly net inflows, they fluctuate, but they're still above where they need to be to keep Bitcoin above 60K. So, we have to be bullish about that. And we have long-term holders that are still holding the bag. And I'm talking those big boys. They're still holding. So if this continues, Bitcoin is going to actually be in a good spot. Now, if we get a lot of the ownership, we get shaky, we get a fragmentation there to where you have these OGs that are starting to run, and I'm talking the war activity. That's going to cause OGers to pull out because gold is going to go through the roof if the war breaks out. So they're going to rotate. A lot of people are going to rotate into that. That's when you're going to see Bitcoin bleed. That's when you're going to see Ethereum bleed because usually during war times, metal skyrocket. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to copper. Copper is doing some very, very interesting things as well. And copper is probably the best barometer when it comes in. I'm watching copper like crazy right now, and it hasn't led me wrong. So I'm looking at copper right now. Yeah, I'm not too happy with that because that's my barometer that I look at. And if it continues to get close to where $7 to $8, then God forbid. So let's talk about altcoins and the actual DeFi link as well, because DeFi completely resilient through this whole situation because there's money to be made in DeFi. Those platforms, the majority of them are secure. They're cranking out yield, and that has not been affected. And as far as I know about all the language when it comes to yield, when it comes to DeFi, decentralized applications, they're safe. The banks do not want entities like Coinbase to reap the benefits. They don't care about the decentralized applications, the DeFi aspect. That's not, because I think that hasn't been actually cleared out. A lot of people aren't really separating the two. DeFi is okay. Even with the current markup, DeFi is not affected. It's actually bolstered. Decentralized applications are okay. They're not affected, right? These mixers, they're deemed legal under the language. Paul Atkins he's for Monero and Zcash and those protocols. What's going to be affected under the current markup is situations like you see on Coinbase with you're just buying USDC and you're just holding it and you're getting, almost 5% yield. The banks don't like that. They don't like that. That's what's up with that. Okay. So I just want everybody to understand that when it comes to DeFi, we're good. We're good. CeFi, definitely good. This is where you're getting double digits. Now, a lot of people are scared of CeFi. I'm not that afraid of CeFi because CeFi is starting to be insured. There's a lot of like Coin Depot. That's an insured platform. So don't be so crazy afraid of CeFi because post language, CeFi may be the best opportunity. And I may make another video about that because there's some interesting language in that previous markup that bolstered CeFi. So, you know, and I love DeFi, but don't get too upset and don't get too turned off about CeFi because there's some opportunities there and you're going to be well protected there going forward. Even in this, you know, previous markup, there's some protection there that I don't see currently. So there's some good things in this Clarity Act, guys. We just, you know, we just keep hearing about the Coinbase thing. So we'll see what happens with this new markup. But as far as altcoins, again, I told you guys, since 2024, bear market. DeFi bearish as well, but resilient because of all the staking, because of all the rotation when it comes to Bitcoin, you know, tumultuous activity that we're seeing. That TVL has been remarkable. This is why DeFi is still the place to be, especially when the market's going crazy. You just park in DeFi and get your yield, generate your yield, and then you go back into the market when it's bullish. You don't have to take losses, but most people are afraid of decentralized applications still. Large amount of people just don't know how to interact with them because of the, you know, the user interfaces. It scares a lot of people. So they just stay put or they just pull out and take a loss. Don't do that. Get to know the decentralized applications, get to know these yield bearing platforms because you can park yourself in these, you know, DeFi and CeFi and kind of weather the storm and then go back in or DCA when it's red. Not financial advice, but I think those are options that people sleep on. But again, the altcoin narrative has been bearish since 2024. You need to understand that. So we're still there. Now, BTC tends to stabilize that activity, but the dominance is still very, very, very dominant. With an altcoin, you know, season meaner that's just struggling to even get across 50. Okay. So when it comes to the restaking narrative, that's still strong. L2 scaling, which, you know, Vitalik came out and said they're not really concerned about that. I think Lania is probably the only one that they're really, you know, pushing. And I'll be honest with you guys, when it comes to Ethereum L2 scaling, they're about to move past that. They're about to move away from that. They're not going to need a lot of L2s going forward when they get through upgrading the situation fully. ETH is going to evolve past L2s. It is what it is. But I think there's only one Lania because of that, the payment infrastructure there, the ZK there, the proofs there, the payment infrastructure there, the MetaMask link. I think Lania is probably the only one that I'm bullish on when it comes to L2s on EVM scaling. That's it. And that's just my take on it. When we get RWAs and when we get that rotation going, tokenized assets going post language, because that's what that's waiting on, you're going to see a lot of those altcoins that are based in that particular sector. They're going to fly. They're going to go to the moon so quick. If you're not on board, you're going to miss out. Do your research and find out which altcoins that you need to get into, you know, in the ones that are in those sectors, because those things are going to go bonkers post language, because this is what the RWA sector is waiting on. Absolute language. This is what it's waiting on. It's smoldering right now, but it's going to explode. And if you look at those TVLs, the RWA TVLs, you're seeing a lot of sectors that are popping up that I've never seen before. New forms of tokenized assets that are being formed. That TVL keeps going up. It's in the higher billion range right now. So that's a pipeline that's ready to pop. It's just waiting on language. So be mindful of the altcoins that are actually tethered to that particular sector, because they're going to reap those benefits post language. But we just got to get through the storm. And I hate that the Iran situation is kind of percolating, because that's kind of like a dark cloud over the crypto movement, over progress, because that keeps Donald Trump busy. He's busy in activities that kind of take him away in his cabinet, in his movement, crypto movement. It kind of puts it in the back burner right now. So, and he can't really push language right now because of what's going on with Iran. So he's kind of preoccupied right now. So we're kind of like relying, and we're kind of waiting on Congress, which midterms is going to listen. And if we don't get that, if the midterms don't go the way of the president, of the Republican Party, we can very well see the Clarity Act shelved, and this entire crypto movement may hit a wall. But again, real talk, man. I got to give you that real talk. So when it comes to altcoins and DeFi, not worried about it. Altcoins, I'm still in the woods, guys. We're not in bullish territory when it comes to altcoins. And I'm pretty sure most of you can see that when you look at these charts, when you look at the fragmentation, and I'm talking not protocol fragmentation, but I'm talking price fragmentation, price movement fragmentation. They're all over the place. And you got Bitcoin almost at $76,000, and a lot of these also still falling. They've decoupled. So the narrative, the 4-year cycle, that's dead. It's been heavily modified. And then you factor in this Iran situation that was not baked into the cake. This is a very turbulent atmosphere. So where do we go forward? It's a dice roll. If we do get a de-escalation in the Middle East, everything gets back to normal, I think that'll be bullish for the market, because then we can get Donald Trump's attention back on crypto. We can get Donald Trump's attention back on pushing legislation when it comes to cryptocurrency. That's when we win. But if he continues to be preoccupied with the war, that's not a win for crypto. Not at all. And it's a false narrative for Bitcoin, because it may look great right now, but all of this could be out of the back door within a click of a second. All it takes is a wrong tweet. All it takes is something like we heard from Kevin Warsh, and we're going to get into what Kevin Warsh said. He did give a good mark and a very bullish statement on crypto. And we'll get to 2 clips. But what he said as a whole, and a lot of his answers were very bearish when it comes to the stock market. And I want to get to some of his remarks as well once we get to that clip. And we'll lay out what he said, because, you know, it was a mixed bag. And I kind of like the guy, because he's basically saying, I'm not going to be a sock puppet for Trump. I'm going to do my job, and we're going to do what's right. And he wants to overhaul the entire situation. I don't think Trump likes that. I think if Trump was listening to him today on Capitol Hill, I don't think he liked what he said. So I actually love the guy at this point in time, Kevin Warsh. I absolutely love the guy, because he seems like he's a straightforward guy, no bullshit guy. He's going to do the right thing for the country. Okay, regardless of any influence, left or right. I don't know how long he's going to last, but it is what it is. Logan, welcome to the show. Ray says AI coins future is good. Yeah. AI is going to do AI things. You're going to need those data centers, and a lot of the production has been halted when it comes to data centers, but you're going to need more production on that side. But AI coins, absolutely. There's some AI coins that are they're tailored to the Mag 7 though. That's the thing. So in a lot of the NVIDIA activity, that's the thing. But you have some that are at good price points. I'm not going to name this one, but there was one that I was involved in that went well over $250 market cap. Okay. It's at $2 million right now. So go figure, right? This is what's going on in that altcoin, in the AI market. Again, this particular one, fantastic platform, is AI based. I'm not going to name the name, but this thing launched and went clear past $200 million market cap, crested at 100, and then all hell broke loose geopolitically. And now it's at 2.5 million. So the potential is there. The product is there, and they're still building. And I think the majority of the legit AI platforms are doing the same thing. So if you can catch them, you know, before they get back up to those ATHs, which they will, you know, may not be a good ride up. I'll just leave that at that, most definitely. So 2026 outlook range, this is a consensus based situation. When it comes to a lot of analysts, it's bearish because of what's going on geopolitically, because of what's going on in Iran. Again, the new kid on the block is shaking up all of the metrics, all of the trends in the actual predictions for 2026. Everything is hit a wall. So everybody's adjusting their predictions. 60K, again, that's where I'm at, extreme floor. But you got a consolidation bandwidth as set at 60 to 75,000. And I think this was, you know, spot on. This is what we're seeing. But we're talking Bitcoin here. It's all institutional based activity. Very little retail. And that's what has me worried. I need to see more retail. And I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing the big boys. So, and when the big boys get scared and they start moving out, they move the needle. That's when Bitcoin turns into a shitcoin very, very quickly. Very quickly. So that's what has me worried about all this institutional buyership. So when it comes to the consensus, when it comes to the analyst consensus, with the complete outlook of 2026. 90 to 100,000 is going to be the base bullish case. Will we get there? The Iran situation cannot go bonkers. If everything subsides there, yeah, we could definitely look at what it's doing now in this turbulent market. This is pre-war, right? Well, post-conflict, and we're almost at 76,000, pretty close to 80K. This is what's going to have to happen, guys, before we can even get close to the predicted $150,000 Bitcoin. You're going to have major de-escalation in the Middle East, which is not baked in the cake. That has to subside. Things have to normalize there. Okay. Oil has to go back down to $63. Let's just be real. Adoption has to spike. We need rate cuts, which I'm not even going to put that in there because from what I heard from Warsh, we're not getting rate cuts. He may raise the freaking rates. And he's right. We should be at around 13% right now. But I digress. A lot of you don't understand that. Because we've been horribly disfigured when it comes to these interest rates. You know, way too low for so many years. And, you know, this is what happens when you do that. I.e. Japan. So, and then when you start raising the rates, all hell breaks loose. The system breaks. Because it's been artificially inseminated for so many years. So I don't think we're going to get rate cuts, but that's a catalyst for growth as well. And this is consensus based, which I don't think we're going to get that. We may this. Kevin Warsh may raise the rates, man. And I think that would be a good thing. This is how you recover if you want to recover. But if we just want to continue to kick the can down the road, you're going to drop the rates. That's how you kick the can down the road. You just continue to go back to zero. And that could be the worst thing. And obviously, the last thing is going to be regulatory clarity. We need that. Let's just face it, we need that. And then we can just put the icing on the cake with ETF inflows that continue to be robust. And a simple DeFi TVL trend line will basically, it's just going to be consistent growth in that particular TVL, more staking, things of that nature, right? Tim says I think he's going to raise them, bro. I really do. We're going to get into Warsh. We're going to get into his statements. It's about a minute long clip. And I actually like the guy. He's a straightforward guy. And from what I saw, hopefully that transcends and he carries that energy into the office and he wants to completely restructure everything. I hope he does that. We need a fresh approach. We don't need yes man in the Fed anymore. We need them to be, because they haven't been independent. You know, I know a lot. I know the current chair says he's independent. All the bullshit. We wouldn't be this low right now if he was making independent judgments. He's been heavily influenced. We need a guy that can make the right decision, regardless of the influence. I think we may have that guy. I could be wrong, but I think we got that guy, and we need that guy. So let's go ahead and listen to him. I want to get to that. This is Kevin Warsh. It's like a minute clip. And this is what he was saying.
To ensuring that the conduct.
And I'm getting into it. I'm getting the carriage before the horse. Let me set this up. So this is kind of like the beginning of the end is what he's saying. I want you to listen to what he's saying, because I think if he is able to do what he wants to do, he's gonna change this shit around. He's gonna turn the ship to the right direction. It's gonna be rough initially, but at the end of the day, I think he'll be able to pull us out, barring any interference when it comes to Trump. And honestly, I think Trump's going to be a lame duck. He's going to be a lame duck, and I think it's going to happen pretty quick, especially after midterms. Listen to Kevin Warsh.
I'm committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent. Equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Mm-hmm. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast.
I like this guy.
If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people.
Absolutely.
And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work. I'm committed.
I want to play it one more time because I really like this guy. The Fed needs a rehaul. Now, are they going to allow him to do it? We'll see. Will Chairman Powell remain, or will he be forced out completely? Trump said Trump basically said he's going to sweep him out the window. I want you guys to listen to this one more time because this guy's basically coming in and he's trying to rehaul the whole situation. He wants to overhaul he wants to gut it and redo everything.
I'm committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent, equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast. If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. Mm-hmm. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people. And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. The Honorable Kevin Warsh. I don't know how you guys feel about this guy, but I like this guy. And let's talk about what he's wanting to do. Of course, regime change. That's the quote that kind of spooked the stock market. This is some of the actual bullet points of his speech. I broke this down. So this is during the Senate Banking Committee confirmation hearing. Okay, so check this out. It's bullet point number 1. Inflation is a choice. He's so right about that. And the Fed must take responsibility for it, unquote. He's so right about that. It's a choice. The Fed has chose to do this over the years. They have suppressed these rates. They have kept them low for a number of years. And here we are. And this was post any type of war activity. For what reason? I'm not even going to go into it. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to blame any administration. Because again, the Fed's supposed to be independent. Regardless of what's said, I think that's Larry Fitzgerald that's behind Kevin Warsh back there. That's kind of odd. Is he running for office? Larry Fitzgerald. That's the wide receiver. Old wide receiver for Arizona Cardinals. That's interesting. I guess he's getting into politics. But I digress. Inflation is a choice. That is so true. Okay, this is not needed at all. But it was the Fed was influenced to do that because the government wants to print money at a cheaper rate. So they've been influencing the Fed this whole entire time. And finally, Jerome Powell's like, you know what? We can't do it anymore. And then he was threatened, repetitively threatened by the president. I'm pretty sure he's ready to go. But is he going to completely remove himself? I don't know. I think you're probably going to have to fire. Trump is probably going to force him out completely. He also called the post-COVID inflation surge. This is what he said, which he said families experience 20 to 35% in increases when it comes to, the price to live, the cost to live, which was phenomenally high for a lot of people. He called this the biggest policy error within a 50-year period, unquote. It was fatal. This is what Karen Warsh said. So he is not a yes guy. This dude is calling it like it is. He's coming in hard. He's coming in hot. And he's saying it's been a massive failure. The Fed has been a massive failure. He's not pointing at the government, which that wouldn't be pretty good. It wouldn't be good for him to do that. But we know it indirectly. We know what you're doing, Mr. Warsh. I know what you're doing. So, huge, colossal failure. Biggest economic policy error in the last 50 years. Fatal. He said it was fatal, which it was. We are still bleeding from that. Now, still recovering from that as well. He also called for a regime change at the Fed. So he wants to completely gut the Fed, including new inflationary framework as well. So we're gonna redo all this infrastructure. We're gonna redo all the metric boards. We're gonna think of this differently now going forward when it comes to inflation. I like that. Better communication, staying strictly within its lane as well, not being influenced by the right or the left. We'll see how that goes, because that's the hard part. Money moves the needle. Price stability plus maximum employment is the agenda here. Love that. Sounds good. Without staying into fiscal, social, or political issues. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Lastly, on his independence, and we're talking about the Fed being independent, not being influenced by right or left activities or political activities. This has been very hard for Chairman Powell. I don't think he's done a great job. At the end, towards the end, he just kind of put his foot down, but it was too late. The blood was everywhere. It was too late. Mr. Ward stressed it's essential and largely up to the Fed, unquote, to carry this out. And we're talking about Fed independence. You got to grow a fucking backbone. You can't allow Trump to tell you what to do. This is basically what the man is saying. He's talking to Trump indirectly. We're not going to have it. Now, I don't know. I think Trump actually endorsed this guy, so I don't know if he knew what he had coming. But apparently, this is a problem. This is going to be a big, big problem for Trump. And I think this is why the stock market has reacted to these remarks like it did. And, you got people buying the dip, but this is probably not what Trump expected. I didn't expect this as well. This dude is hardcore, and he's totally running. He's not running parallel to the rhetoric. This guy wants to change everything within the Fed. Regime change. It's a big term. Okay. We're hearing that a lot right now, unfortunately, in the wrong places. So here's another thing that shook up everything. Quote, Kevin Ward said, "I am absolutely not, and I will never be anyone's sock puppet," unquote. This is very interesting. So he's not a sock puppet. We're talking about the Honorable Kevin Ward. He's not going to have anybody's arm elbow deep into his arse. He's going to be independent. He's going to make interest rate decisions independently. The Fed is going to do this independently. They don't give a shit about what the president is going to say. They're going to do what needs to be done. And if he does that, if they crunch these numbers properly, they use, the proper metrics that aren't adjusted weirdly using 3 or 4 month old freaking numbers, he should already know that they need to raise the rates. Most people who understand this shit, they know I'm telling the truth. These rates need to go up. If we really want to fix things, they can't go down, because all that's going to do is increase the inflation rate. We don't need that, because we're about to have full scale war. So that's not a popular topic, but it's the truth. A lot of influencers and, content creators, crypto content, they're not going to tell you that. And I get it. I understand why, So he also criticized Fed officials for talking too much. This really pissed people off. I love this guy. He also criticized Fed officials for talking too much or giving premature rate guidance. I love that shit, because we heard a lot of that. That should not be coming from the Fed, ladies and gentlemen. So the market literally saw this as hawkish. Strong focus on fighting inflation, which is what you heard in my bullet points there, with signals of a quick rate cut fading dramatically. And this is going to put pressure on Trump, but I don't think Trump's really worried about this because of what's going on in the Gulf. He's completely detached from what's going on. I think this is pretty good for wars. He can get this shit out, and you don't have to worry about Trump blindsiding him right now. But once Trump gets wind of this, you better believe there's going to be some tweets coming out, probably late over the night. Trump's going to be tweeting paragraphs about this. This is not going to be good. So I'm waiting on that. I got the popcorn ready for the paragraphs, because he's probably going to say some things about what this guy said today. So I'll be waiting for that. So the Fed is pushing for high yield rates as well. All right. They're trying to reverse early stock gains, this is what this is going to do. You can see that. I don't even know what this, I haven't even looked at the numbers. I know it did after this guy stopped talking. It dumped pretty hard. A lot of that rotated into Bitcoin too as well. We'll see. So what you have is a very hawkish lookout for the new incoming Fed. This guy wants to gut the Federal Reserve, change everything around, make proper decisions that are influenced by right and left activity, no political influence. He's going to put up a wall, basically, between the Fed and Congress and the president. All that outside influence, all the outside noise. He wants to insulate the Fed, essentially. Let's see how this goes, because this is not what Trump's want. I guarantee this is not what Trump expected. He expected a sock puppet. He expected somebody he can put his arm elbow deep into their ass and make them do whatever he wants them to do. I don't think he's going to get that. And I think that's going to affect the movement. I think that's going to affect his influence big time when it comes to that. Now, when you think about what's going on with the SEC, with Paul Atkins, I think there's no problem there. Paul Atkins is a sock puppet, unfortunately. It is what it is. And you're right, Dip Travel. When Trump tweets, the market goes upside down. And this is what's going to happen tonight. I think he's going to go off on this guy. He's going to say some stupid shit. We'll see. We'll see. So, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I like the guy. I'm not even upset with what he said. I think it's very advantageous for us to have a guy like this in the Fed, because he's not going to be politically influenced. He's going to make the right decisions. And I believe he's going to look at real numbers. I think this guy's going to look at real numbers, not fake, conjured up bullshit. He's going to make the right decision with the right numbers. Because I've seen a lot of old numbers used and a lot of things that are omitted when it comes to economic growth. Good or bad, those numbers were not used. They were omitted. A lot of revisions were made after, initial decisions was made. Then, we've seen a lot of revisions, and it's because there was a lot of bullshit that was being done in the Fed. That's why these revisions were redundant. I don't think you're going to get that from Mr. Kevin Warsh. Now, will it affect crypto in a negative way? When you have high interest rates, that affects borrowing, right? And a lot of people borrow money to invest. Most of your large investors are investing with borrowed money. I don't know if you know that. It's not their money. They borrow. That's like a model that has been used for years. They borrow money and they invest it. I think that's fucking stupid, but it is what it is. It's been used. I would rather use my own money to invest in, and that way, if it goes bonkers up or down, I can reap those benefits. But if it goes down, I won't have to worry about a double loss. Fuck. That was borrowed money that went down the tubes. I'm screwed. I'm doubly screwed. That's why I think that's kind of a dumb model. But again, it's widely used. It's widely, recommended by a lot of financial advisors. It's unfortunate. People do it. But you have a lot of borrowed money that's in the market right now. And I think a lot of those institutions and those heavy buyers, they rely on a Fed that kind of walks the walk, that walks the way they want them to walk. And this is what you have here with Donald Trump. He wants lower rates so they can inflate the money cheaper. I don't think he's going to get his way with this guy. So I like him. As far as cryptocurrency, I like it because of stability. We're going to get some price stability. We're going to get, employment should get a whole lot better, because a lot of the actual employers are waiting on stability. They're waiting on a non-inflationary pattern. They're waiting on an environment to where people are going to be spending more, because we're service-based here. We're not a manufacturing giant. We're not China. So we need stability, not only for, external buyership, but internal buyership when it comes to cryptocurrency and stock markets, commodities. We need that stability. We need people to be able to buy stuff. Right now, it's going the wrong direction. People are being very restrictive, because all you're seeing in the space is institutional buying. Only the rich people are buying right now. Retail, middle class, they're running. They're cashing out because they're trying to survive. So, and it's just going to get worse if war breaks out. I think this particular gutting of the Fed is needed, and I think Kevin Warsh is going to do it. He's going to do a great job. I love this guy. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love this guy. So, regime change is coming. All right. Price stability is coming with this guy. This is beautiful. I think this is going to affect the markets greatly. We just need the Iran situation to go away. And I don't think that's going to happen now. As far as Warsh's crypto move, I want to play this real quick, because he's actually pretty bullish on crypto, and he sees it as a very bullish thing here. Let me put this in. Check this out.
Digital assets.
hold on, let me check this out. This is what he said about digital assets, cryptocurrency. You know, Senator Loomis has been very bullish on crypto, on Bitcoin. She's been working so hard. The lady hasn't slept. You can tell she hasn't slept in a while. She's been working so hard on this. And I got to commend her on that. There's some other senators as well, but she's been working the hardest, especially when it comes to Bitcoin being used as strategic reserve. She's been working very hard on this. And, you know, Trump has been really making it hard for this lady. This is what War said about digital assets and crypto as a whole. Pretty bullish.
I believe that digital assets should be incorporated into our financial industry so Americans have new investment opportunities and consumer protections.
Senator, digital assets are already part of the fabric of our financial services industry in the United States. Yes.
So it's already implanted. We already have this legislation going through. So what Kevin Warsh is saying is, I have no problem with it, essentially. You know, there's no, and we don't have any intentions on torpedoing this movement, thwarting it, you know, kind of like slowing it down. I don't think he cares. He has way more things to worry about. And I don't think he's going to get in the way with that. We know Paul Atkins is like gung-ho when it comes to crypto, so we're good there. The actual playing field is great for crypto and DeFi going forward, even with the current markup, right? Because DeFi won't be affected. Coinbase is not going to like it, but it is what it is. We still have, and speaking of the Clarity Act, and I want to pivot back to Bitcoin here. Which is at $75,000 still. Now, and to bring back the Clarity Act, I believe that we're going to get a balanced bill. And I believe, I'm going to go ahead, because I'm going to stay bullish on this. I believe we're going to get it this year, but it's going to come at the last minute. And I think it's going to be bipartisan, because this is going to benefit everybody going forward. Now, there's some restrictive activity when it comes to Congress's involvement in cryptocurrency investments, even stocks. They want to lock out Congress. If you're a congressman, if you're working for the government, you know, on a political level, you cannot interact. That language exists right now. Will it be, you know, this new markup, will it be removed? Will that affect Donald Trump's involvement? Will that affect World Liberty Finance? Will that affect the Trump Bros' involvement in their crypto ventures? They could easily offload that into a subsidiary or form another, external LLC and just migrate that shit on. There's ways to get away with this. And we know Donald Trump is the master of wiggling and jiggling when it comes to this. He literally made a business model out of filing bankruptcy. So he can do it. I'm pretty sure he can do it. How far does that go? Right. So we'll see. We'll see, because I think we're going to get a weird passage of the language, because they're going to have to do something. Or if they don't do it, you can move this all the way to 2029, guys. If they don't get it done, you're looking at a 2029 rehash of this. All right. That you're going to see a new president at that point in time. What does it look like? Do we even get a look at it under a new leadership? We'll see. Will it be Kamala? JD Vance and Kamala? Who knows, man? I'm just putting it out there. We don't know what the hell is about to happen, but I will tell you this. And I know this is very cliche, but buckle up, man. Because it's $75,000. It looks really nice now. But if that shit goes bonkers, and we're talking about this week, we could possibly see all out war. You may see Bitcoin go all the way down to 60K. It just depends on the rotation, because if gold skyrockets past $5,000, a lot of this Bitcoin is going to go straight to gold. A lot of Ethereum is going to go straight to gold. And metals, silver is going to go well above 100K. I'm sorry. Ooh, that would be amazing. $100, not 100K. Copper is probably going to be around $9. Those metals that's your barometer, not Bitcoin. This is a false barometer. And I just want to reiterate that. Don't rely on Bitcoin's price movements to dictate your movements within the altcoins, because as you can see, it is highly fragmented. Highly fragmented. these gains should be way more higher. Traditionally, we would see altcoins in double-digit percentage, increasements in these prices. Traditionally, this is what we should see. We don't see that, guys. So this should let you know that that dominance is real, but is being actually propped up by institutional growth, institutional involvement, ETF vehicles, lots of borrowed money that could disappear tomorrow. So just be mindful of that. This Bitcoin barometer is a false narrative right now. Don't get wrapped up into it. That's my main thing I want to tell you guys before we leave here. Do not get wrapped up into that. So with that being said, I was going to mention something about this. I'm going to save that for you guys for a member video. I did get a member shout out for you guys. And unfortunately, we're not going to spin the wheel during the live because I got to get off here. But we're going to, because I got that short out. I got your member content out so late. I'm going to let that filter for a little bit, for a couple hours. I'll come back and then I'll do a video. We'll post another member video and we'll do a spin, guys. And I'll post that, for full disclosure. And then we'll get the winners out in a couple hours. I want to make sure I get everybody's, involvement with the content so you can get a fair shot at the actual prizes today. And then we'll get back on track next week with the live spin. Okay. So I just want to say that. So we'll do that now. I think I'm going to leave it there because essentially this is what we're talking about. This is what we're doing here. And hopefully you guys understood what I was saying. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but at the same time, this is what we're working with. This is what we're working with. So we don't know what's going on. And speaking of the Iran situation, I want to close with this. We have no meetings here. There will be no negotiations. And this is what was just posted by Douglas McGregor. This guy has been absolutely fabulous when it comes to these actual updates. This came out at 1:23 p.m. my time. Okay. And I want to read this before we get out of here, just in case you understand what's going on, because time is running out. And I believe we're going to have full scale war breaking out overnight going into Wednesday. I really do believe that. So if you wake up to red markets, this is why. This is why. All right. Now this is just breaking here. This is Douglas McGregor. This is a guy that this is a former commander, so he knows what he's talking about. This is just broke now. This is our Iranian political analyst and advisor and Professor Sayed Mohammed Maradini. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. He's issued a significant threat here, guys. Now, this is a quote that's coming from the sector. Everyone should leave immediately. This is going to be concerning the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi, and Kuwait. Sailors on all ships in the Persian Gulf must also prepare to evacuate their ships as well. This is not good. This is especially urgent for ships into the Strait of Hormuz, which will be destroyed first. Time is running out, unquote. So this is what we're seeing here. This is the rhetoric. This is what's breaking right now. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get out of here. And you know what? LMFG, man, I did not see you back here. Welcome to the show, brother. I brought you in too late, man. You know what? We're going to extend the show a little bit because I want to get your take. Or are you still there, brother?
I thought you just didn't want to talk to me.
No, absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. Compadre, bro. I was kind of missing you, man. I didn't think you was back there, but you know what? Welcome to the show. I got to give you an honorary hand clap to that as well. Welcome to the show, bro. I didn't see you, bro. I didn't see you back there, So I'm just rocking and rolling. When I get started, I talk too much sometimes. So welcome to the show, man. What's your take, bro? I wanted to bring this out, because everything is hinging on the Iran situation, right? So no talks, LMFG. But before we get to that, before we, you react to that, I'm going to bring Bitcoin back up here. What's your take? I don't know how long you were in there, bro, because I was just running my mouth. I was rolling, bro. I was in the midst of the content. What's your take on as a whole? And we'll go there and then we'll move to the Iran thing. It's crazy, bro.
It just don't jive. It don't make sense. And I didn't know that Sailor just bought a whole shitload more. That guy's crazy. I don't know, man. Just got to go with the flow. And I think Trump was talking just a little while ago, so I don't know what he said, but I see the market was down about 250 now to 1 point, back to 170. So every time he says something, it's ridiculous. I tell you,
Yeah.
if you had to go, Nats, to sit there and go in and out of everything, you're gonna be making a lot of money every time he opens his friggin' mouth.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you're playing a futures market, you should be, especially the oil futures. I mean, a lot of guys are making a killing. But it was a report that came out that there's gonna be some investigations going on here internally because there's some insider trading going on within the cabinet, they're calling it Trump's presidency or regime now. We already know that. We see the insiders. I think they were saying his son Barron put in a short, Ethereum short. Yesterday? I don't know, man. LMFG, do you think this is going to be at the end of the day? Do you think all this insider trading, which everybody understands, we know that's going on, and they're not being shy about it. They're actually talking about it. We see it on X. They tweet about it. Is this a bad thing at the end of the day, man?
Yeah, I 100% do. And I know, I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't think it was on your space the other night about Trump was point blank asked if the Clarity Act goes through, because those clauses are in there, the amendments are in there, that him and his family have to immediately drop everything. And he, without hesitation, just said yes, saying no problem. So they probably have everything lined up. World Liberty Financial, all their Bitcoin, everything will be gone probably the next day.
You think they're going to dump it? Or are they just... I got to ask you a question. See, because I mentioned that. It's in the language. I don't think they're going to remove it, or, Elizabeth Warren is going to blow her cap. How does that look, bro? How does that offload look? And how does it...
I think he's 100% set. Him and his family, they're all 100% set. Because how fast he said it, it didn't even faze him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not even an issue.
Well, he's still making a ton off that meme coin right now.
They could just dump everything that they own, including the American Bitcoin holdings and, World Liberty Finance and then all the damn Bitcoin and Ethereum they hold. They could just sell it all and walk away. And Michael Saylor and BlackRock will be all over that.
But listen, man, do we really want that though? I mean, if they just completely just sell out, it's gonna hit. It's not like the Satoshi wallet selling, It's not like a quantum attack, Bitcoin, 33% of supply. It's not that, hugely, robust. But at the same time, that fear after the effect,
that's the influence.
You know what I'm saying? That influence, that's gonna again, that trickle down. That's that stair step downwards. That's what's going to affect the market. Now we do have $8 billion worth of options that are about to expire too as well. Interesting times, bro. Very interesting times that we're in. So what about this Iran thing, man? Looks like we're going back to war, bro. I think that we're going to hit that. And we're looking at Douglas McGregor's post here, which hit 20 minutes ago. He's posted this, and basically what they're saying, this is going to be an Iranian political analyst and advisor. This was the actual significant threat announcement that was issued. And again, I'll read this again. Quote, everyone should immediately leave the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi, and Kuwait immediately. Sailors on all ships in the Persian Gulf must also prepare to evacuate their ships. This is especially urgent for ships near the Strait of Hormuz, which will be destroyed first, unquote. This is what Douglas McGregor, Colonel Douglas, has tweeted, and this is what he's getting from his context, bro. I think there will be no talks. We're about to hit it, bro. Everything is about to hit the wall. What's your take on this? Because we talk about this a lot. You think this is going to really hit Bitcoin? I think there's going to be initially a rotation, but then I think out the back door, you're going to see a lot of it going into gold and silver because we know what metals do during wartime. What's your take on that, man?
Yeah, we would see the big dip, and like you said, the metals would just go through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know if we'll double up on. That's why you see a lot of advisors. Yeah. My buddy's advisor, he pays all these guys. They're saying probably in the next year or so, you'll see gold at 10 grand. That's unfathomable.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Like, that's when a lot of the rotation is going to just move so briskly into gold because you're going to have the FOMO, right? You know, and I think Peter Schiff is calling 15,000. Yeah. I mean, I don't even, what are we looking at? I know, you know, I like the commodities. And let me go back to that. Hold on. Because see, I like the tokenized commodities. Like you have these two right here I talked about, LMFG. With the Tether Gold. Now currently $4,600. They're tethered and they're paired to go into the price here. You can actually put this, you can transfer this into a CeFi situation and some DeFi opportunities as well out of this and get yield on these tokenized commodities, bro. This is available now. This is a cool thing about DeFi and CeFi. And I think CeFi is going to be robustly bolstered after post language as well. This is what you can do now, bro. This is where we're headed. New paradigms here. If you get, let's say if you bought it here at $4,600, this thing goes up to $15,000. You're winning. And you can also compound that. You can also get, double digit yield off of these tokenized commodities, Tether Gold, and then there's Pax Gold as well. Those are the two that I'm involved in. Where's Pax Gold? I'll show you how the pair is. Have you been checking this out, bro? Because where's Pax? There it is right there. Here's another one, Pax Gold, which is, distributed, that was erected by Paxos, which is a major stablecoin, situation here, creator, essentially. Man, we're going into some interesting times, right? This is something that we couldn't do in the 80s and 90s, going to these tokenized commodities markets, buy tokenized gold, And mind you, these have redemptions too. You can actually convert this into and get delivery of physical gold as well. I know you can with Pax Gold. So it's not like you're locked into a tokenized commodity. These can be converted into solid gold as well and delivered to you, especially under this platform, I know. Or you can just get yield. I mean, LMFG, what's your take on this? Because I think this is beautiful where we're going with these tokenized assets, especially with metals. I'm waiting for a copper tokenized asset to come up because I'm definitely gonna, get into that one as well. What's your take, man?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I don't remember seeing a copper.
No, I think we're just
copper, but I'm
just
sure
gold and silver. Hell yeah, it's coming. Palladium. All that is coming.
Going nuts trying to tokenize everything. And
it's beautiful. Good
man.
Yeah, I'm looking at oil is creep. Brent is definitely going back up to $100. We have WTI is moving back up to $90. I think over the night, going into Wednesday morning, we're probably going to see $100 oil, probably over if the bombs start completely going everywhere. So this is something we need to get prepared for. As far as Mr. Wars, Kevin Wars, we talked about that earlier. Before we get out of here, I got to get your take on. I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. What'd you take, man? Did you like the hearing? Did you like his responses? I love the guy.
Yeah, and I was watching a little. Good old Elizabeth, she's on him.
Yeah.
And I heard what you said about, because Trump is appointing him. It doesn't matter, dude. He said Trump could fire him. It can't happen, dude. The Senate approves him. He has 4 years sitting on that.
Yep.
And he doesn't have to leave the board of governors either, just like Powell doesn't have to leave for a couple years. This guy, the governor's, I think, is a 14-year seat. Yeah. So he'll be around, and we'll see. Everybody's, he's going to come in and drop a point, and that's what I was thinking but I didn't really hear about the guy or hear him talk, or I didn't know much about him. So now that it's up there and he's in front of the committee, now you can see I don't know if it'll be a Powell. And the communication thing you said, I think they definitely went overboard. Remember, we used to do quarters, or I think it was even bi-weekly or 1/3, right? 3 meetings a year or something. Mm-hmm. Now they went to 9 meetings a year, and it's just too much. Yeah. It's just too much. They come out, and then even when there's not a meeting, they come out and make a statement. And pretty much every meeting and statement, and pretty much not saying anything. Powell's really not saying anything, just a circle of words.
He was very scared. The guy was running scared. You know, Trump was on his ass like profusely, man. I mean, he was dodging bullets, and I think he did a good job. Do you think he stays though? You know, because Trump is saying he wants him out. He doesn't want to see his face. Do you think he stays?
Yeah, most guys leave because after you're dropping your salary by a third. And probably just with that influence being up there, or everybody and his brother wants to hire you. So I don't know. And now he's saying that he won't leave until that the hearing's over with him lying to Congress. And you got Attila say he's not signing anything until he won't even sign Washington unless that inquiry about Powell goes away. That's what Tillis said.
Yeah, you heard what Wars said. Kevin Wars said, "I'm not a sock puppet." What, did you like that? He said he's not going to be a sock puppet for Trump.
Yep. That's
the part I loved. Now, they can say things. These guys say things just for, to get likes and shit and, boost their mystique. Yeah, but the thing is, going forward, is the regime change going to carry out? Is he going to gut the Fed? Is he going to do what he says he's going to do? Because a lot of these guys, they don't. They don't do what they're saying they're going to do. You know how this goes, But I actually like the guy. So, and he seems to be very serious. As far as the sock puppet, situation, I really hope so. Because at the end of the day, Jerome Powell, I think he pulled the sock out of his ass, but it was too late. I don't know if you agree with me. Do you agree with me on that? Do you think he was a sock puppet? Because he did show some defiance towards the end, but I don't know, man. I just keep remembering him and Trump standing when they were inside of the development. I forgot what building on the White House lawn they were on, and they were arguing about the permits and about how much it was going to cost. You remember that?
Yeah, Trump pulled the thing out of his shoe jacket.
Yeah, his look, man. I was looking at his face. He was looking at the paperwork like this is not even the same building. But I think at that point in time he realized, man, I got to get out of here. This guy is crazy. He's crazy. As far as Elizabeth Warren, we were talking about that the Clarity Act when it comes to Donald Trump's platform, World Liberty Finance. When it comes to, the Bitcoin involvement, all those farms that the Trump bros have erected, the meme coin, that crypto involvement, just like you said before, he has no problem with dumping and leaving with what they have. How true do you think that is, though? Because, Donald says a lot of things, but then at the end of the day, he'll do another. He'll swing a different way. Is that just bravado? Is he just being Trump, right? Do you think he's really going to just run? I mean, that's a lot of money to be made. He can double what he's already made easily within a year with proper regulation. Do you think he's just talking out of his ass right there, or do you think he's really? You think he's going to do it?
I say this is where I give him credit. He's 100% a businessman. His boys are. They have it all set up already. They'll literally be able to do it within a day or two, whether it's selling it or it's putting it out to LLCs and, getting it out of their name, and it's still running, but they can't even sit on the board, Yeah. So I would say that's all those ducks are lined up, ready to go. So at any given time, he just signs papers.
That's where I think it's going to go. I think, and you know what, while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and populate the wheel. I think I got enough members. I'm going to spin that wheel before we get out of here. I think that's where we're going to go. I do. But honestly, what about Congress? Because, Congress loves investing. They love insider trading. It is what it is, right? They're getting freezed out under this markup. They're being told to stay out, and they're going to could be jail time, if they're caught. Congress has been traditionally insider trading for decades. How do you think Congress is going to react to it? Because we have midterms coming up. I think that may be one of the reasons why they shelve it. If the midterms don't go the way of the Republicans, I feel like with that type of language, it'd be advantageous for the Dems to shelve the Clarity Act. What you take on that?
Yeah, it tells you just how, to me, crooked the politicians are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They keep yields from people, and yet we can still buy Bitcoin and everything. Bullshit.
It's not a good look. Yeah.
No, not at all. It's just typical, and they don't care. It's out in the open, and it's not just Dems, dude. It's Republicans too.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
To make bags of scum. Sorry, but that's my opinion with these politicians.
Well, that's why Kevin Warsh is coming in and he's saying, you know what, we need to put a wall, like a solidified wall, not one with holes, right? We need to really separate ourselves and be independent here, because going forward, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. That back and forth is going to get very ugly. And if a war breaks out, it's going to get even worse, man. So, LMFG, I think we're going to spin this wheel, bro. I think I got enough. I'll check here in a minute, but I'm populating the wheel right now, because we might as well do it while we're out. How are you investing in this market, LMFG? There's a lot of, turbulence. Are you risk off? How are you playing this game? Because it's about to get really turbulent if war breaks out fully. Are you pulling out? Are you getting yield? Are you just consolidating? How are you moving, man? Because a lot of people are kind of torn. They're paralyzed, essentially. What's your take on the market if the war completely wrecks volume and it goes a different direction? Are you staying put? Or are you running with the flow, right? How are you going to play this, man? Because it's about to get crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not sure, dude. I'm just going to be sitting, looking for yield. And my thing is, again, it's the blockchain, the cryptography, the technology that is going to take over. So long term, I mean, the stuff I have in there, I don't have much money. Yeah. Period. So the little I have in there, even if I lost it all, oh, well, it's not going to kill me, but it's something there. In 5-10 years from now, oh, my God, it can be crazy money, some crazy gains,
Yeah.
So I'm looking long term, brother. I expected it already here. I already expected Bitcoin to be at the $1.25 to $1.50, or at least by the end of this year. Definitely don't see that happening now.
I'm with you, man. You see my floor, 60K. I'm still hard on the floor, and I don't see BlackRock. I don't know. It's not BlackRock. We have to be honest with this. It's the user base. If they get shaky, start wanting their money back, and then Michael Saylor gets, the floor on that, as we're told, 8,000 is the actual oh shit moment for strategies, which I don't believe that, especially when he's buying at the top, like he bought at the top today. Massive amount of Bitcoin bought at the top. If we get below 60K, I think strategies is probably going to sell, bro, way before $8,000. Can you imagine what altcoins are going to do if Bitcoin goes back to $8,000? You're going to see a completely wrecked market, a reset, right? As far as me, just to, give you my take on that, I'm staying put, I'm heavily consolidated right now, but I am in some good situations. I like the tech, and you already know, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm doing, only one L2 in my portfolio, and you already know, if you listen to me, you know what that is. And a couple of layer ones, a really, really fresh new one, and it's all tech, man. I have some DeFi tokens as well that are doing really, really well, even in the market, because it's DeFi, like I was telling you guys, DeFi is resilient right now. But as far as all the fringy stuff, all the fringe investments, I'm not there. I can't do it because a lot of those plays aren't going to be here in the next 3 months, LMFG. They're not going to survive, right? So that's where I'm at. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get the wheel up, man. Let's go ahead and get this, man. I think we need to get this bad boy up. Let's get it back up. Boom. We got it, guys. So we're going to spin this wheel before we get out of here. I was going to do an independent video on this, but why not? LMFG came up, which, again, I didn't see you back there, bro. But we got you. Let's do this, man. Glad to see you too, brother. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, doing better. Get that hour and a half deep tissue massage tomorrow.
Oh, damn, you're lucky. I need one of those. So I think it's going to be Colleen 960 is going to be the first winner. I said that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Colleen, you know what you need to do to get that actual prize. I just need your wallet, and let's go and get 2 more. Colleen 960 is going to be the first one. Let's go. guys getting any rain? We got some rain today, bro. Is it wet out there? How's your weather?
Not here. The drizzle the other night. That's it.
Jay Thacker. It's going to be Jay. Congratulations, Jay. Hadn't seen you on the wheel, bro. Winner circle here, but you are on the winner circle today. So Jay Thacker and Colleen, those are going to be 1 and 2. Well, no, that's 2 and 1 actually. Colleen is going to be the first one. So Jay Thacker 3165, you are at number 2, and let's get one more before we get out of here. Jay was like, let's go. Get that soul wallet ready, buddy. We might bump the prizes up a little bit today too, man. So Larry 69W2F is going to be the 3rd winner. So let's go ahead and do a roundup on the actual winners. Let's get this list up. So we have Clean 960 is going to be number 1. Congratulations. We have Jay Thacker 3165, number 2. Congratulations. And we have Larry 69W2F. So those are the 3 winners. And with that being said, be careful with this market. Like I was telling you guys, we don't know. I think we're going to get full scale wars. So with that being said, you're going to see a dip. You're going to see a pretty good dip. Bitcoin may get up to 80K initially, but the rotation into the metals, that is going to happen. It happens traditionally. That's a harder asset, and that's going to be a whole lot more safer for a lot of big time investors. Now, for those who have borrowed to invest, probably not going to see that. They're going to be running scared. They're probably going to try to pull what they can out, and that's when you're going to see fear. That's when it's going to take place. So 60K is my floor. And with that being said, be safe out there, man. And we'll see you on the next show. Take it easy.